Hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp. I apologise in advance. We are going to give you an extra sales video this week because there's not that many great games coming out. We're still going to cover a couple of bits and bobs here and there, but an extra sales video seems like the order of the day.
Yep, we're going to look at some games that are at least 50% off, more often than not, more so than that, to see what's out there that you can spend your money on.
Alright. If you want to save any money on your physicals or digitals, check out all the links in the description. It'll give you all the info there. Right, what's on sale? Well, let's find out.
First up then, we're going to look at Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. Now this is a 2D platformer, the second game in the Yooka-Laylee series, and the interesting hook here was you could actually attempt the final boss right from the beginning. The aforementioned Impossible Lair.
Well,
now obviously if you did that it was impossible, but you could play on and you could collect bees from levels that you completed, and these would then become part of your battalion and make that final level much easier. Very clever concept.
battalion, eh?
The battalion, that's right. This is currently 80% off and that sale rolls on until the 26th of November.
Rolling on from that one, we've got Inside and Limbo, which are from the same creator. And at the moment, those are 90% off, taking them, well, combined price of about £2.50, which is, a right bargain. And those have very high Metacritic scores. They're very good games. They're like puzzle adventure platformers. There's a bit of walking sim in there from time to time, but they are very well designed. They're developed by Playdead, very highly rated games. But for those, this is one of those sales where the price is ludicrous, and if you haven't played them before, they're well worth picking up. They're not the longest action platformers. You're looking at around about 4 or 5 hours each, but they do manage to tell an interesting tale without loads of dialogue and narration. That one is 90% off until November the 24th.
Next we've got Doraemon's Story of Seasons. So this is part obviously of the Story of Seasons farming simulation series, but using that Doraemon name. Now I don't know much about the source material, I must be honest, but I played this with my daughter and did really enjoy it. You use the powers of the characters within the game world to assist you with your farming, which was quite a clever way of having these characters exist in this world, you know?
Yeah, they're a bit slower. I mean, the Doraemon's worth watching. I think it's an anime. It's either on Netflix or something.
All right, yeah.
It's a bit odd. It is a bit odd, but it's kind of one of those quirky, kind of funny ones you can get into. But yeah, I found this one a bit slow at the start, but once you get into it, it's the classic Story of Seasons hooks, isn't it?
It is. It very much is, and it's got a lovely art style as well. Really, very, very nice to look at. This one is currently 75% off in some regions, and again, that runs until the 20th.
I haven't talked about it in a while, so I'm going to stick it on here, and it's XCOM 2 Collection. Now on Switch, the only caveat is it looks like you got Vaseline in your eyes, but that is, we can say that a lot, can't we? Now this one is a classic style. I don't know if you ever played the original XCOM games.
No, I don't believe I did actually.
So it's a classic style top-down turn-based strategy. In the original, you placed yourself on the Earth in any region you wanted, and that would affect where you could intercept UFOs and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
But here it's very similar, really, except they kind of fleshed it out in terms of visuals and styling. You can name all of your troops, which I always do, which is a terrible idea. Because it'll be like Glen has died, and I'll have to restart.
That's harsh, isn't it?
Yeah,
you don't want that.
I have to restart. This comes with 4 DLC packs, the War of the Chosen content. There's just tons here, and for that price, it's well worth picking up, even if the visuals are slightly janky. Just make sure you've got enough space on your SD card. It's 24 gigs, and that sale goes on until November the 13th.
The next one I want to talk about is one that is ideal for a sale. You know, it's that sort of game that you're waiting for a sale on, and that's the House of the Dead remake.
Nice, yeah.
Now, this is a lot of fun. We played it through. We completed it, didn't we? We played it through to completion. It's just, it wasn't quite as precise as I would have liked, which is unfortunate. And at its normal price, it would be difficult to fully recommend, despite it being fun. But at 75% off, I would say this is around about the time where you want to buy it if you're interested in this game at all. I would also say that as much as I'm not a huge fan of plastic peripherals. If you're ever going to buy one, buy a light gun of any description on the Switch. There are some decent ones you can buy, and it just makes the whole experience so much better.
Yeah, they did patch this up because we had some real problems with, like Glen says, accuracy and things when this first came out. Now, thankfully, they did quite a bit of work on that, so it is actually better. We should go back and play it again with the... what were those little guns? Where did we get those from? 'Cause it was super cheap, weren't they?
Yeah, they were in a game, or bundled in with like a digital game called Chicken something.
Yes.
I forget what the names of the game is, but the bundle, the actual gun made this game so much better, didn't it?
Much better.
Yeah, well worth playing, and if it's been patched, all the better.
You can make it this far. However, this is it. Let's see how good you really are.
Lovely job. All right, I'm going to go on with the similar theme, really, of ones that are kind of slightly flawed, but in a sale, I'd potentially pick them up.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to talk about 13, so XIII from back in the day. That first-person shooter was released, I believe, from Microids. Now, the game itself is flawed. There's no two ways about it. It is slightly janky. It's that 2003 classic game where they've gone, right, let's take those original visuals, which were really stylish, and let's try and modernize them, and they end up looking cheaper. But the actual base game is still quite good. It still tells a decent little story. There's one particular mission where you're like robbing a bank and stuff, and I thought, like, this is all right. The problem with it is just it very much feels like an old game in terms of AI and stuff. You know where you could sit around the corners and just let enemies rush you and stuff like that. It's got all of that, but what it does have is a real nice variety of missions. There was a game called No One Lives Forever back in the day that I used to love. It was like a spy first-person shooter, and this was like the closest thing to that.
I remember that game. It was like a female
Yes,
character, wasn't it?
That was a great game.
I remember.
Amazing series, and for some weird reason, they never did any more of it. Really good. But yeah, if you're after just like an old school first-person shooter, then consider this one. It is the cheapest it's ever been. It's down to £13.99. That's 60% off until November the 15th.
Lovely job. Right, next one I'm going to talk about. This is 90% off, well worth grabbing if you haven't done so already, and this is one of your favourite games on the Switch, or certainly was at one point, Mark. This is Moonlighter.
Moonlighter. I remember doing the video and I was speaking like this. Have you heard the soundtrack? It's glorious. Chill out, Walker. Get on with the review.
But in terms of the game, it's a very clever, hybrid, I guess, of that dungeon crawling and then using the resources that you find to then sell in your shop during the day, which works very well, doesn't it?
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Why is it called dungeon crawling?
Not sure.
You're not crawling.
The only reason I could think of, and I'm probably wrong, is because I think the original term comes from the games where you moved and they moved.
Right.
So you're almost like crawling along, but I've probably just made that up. But
well, someone will know, won't they?
Yeah, if you do know why, then please do let us know.
There you go.
Facing new challenges. Working hard.
Next up, we've got Oddworld Soulstorm. Now, I loved the Oddworld Abe's Odyssey game back in the day. And then they did a few different spin-offs, didn't they? You had the first-person one, which, again, was a really good game, actually, and that's also on Switch. But Soulstorm, in my opinion, released at just a silly price.
Yeah.
If you're going to release a game that's almost like, no disrespect, but almost identical to what you originally did, you're just not thinking of the premium price.
Yeah.
It's down 60%, which sounds quite expensive, down to $17.99. But I do think the actual game is worth that. The problem is there aren't that many reviews out because people kind of disregarded it, which is a shame. I love this series. I do like Abe and the gang and the people you play as, but it kind of has that Lemmingsy feel to it where you're kind of leading people around, making them do things for you. I don't know if you've played these, Glen, before.
I have played a couple of them, yes. I can't think which one now. I reviewed one of them actually for the channel.
Yes.
But yeah, enjoyable games, as you say, for sure.
Yeah, and if you're going to pick it up, you might as well grab it at its cheapest ever price, which it is at the moment until November the 11th.
Taught our whole lives in the factories, everything we thought we knew, it's all lies.
And the final one I want to mention then is another one I reviewed a while back now. It's a game called Battle Axe. Now this plays, it's very much a homage to arcade games, you're on a top-down plane. Reminds me a bit of games like Zombies Ate My Neighbours you know, where you have to defeat the enemies, rescue people, move on, that sort of thing. Very, very good game. Plays very well, very, very difficult as you would expect. Obviously being a nod to the arcade games of old. Quite expensive for what it was, well, for quite very. And on sale at 75% off, definitely much more palatable. And a game I would recommend if you're up for a challenge. Really a lot of fun. Yeah, if you want more details, obviously you can watch our review, but I enjoyed this one a lot. It was just that price.
Be caught in the sorceress's chaos. Darkness draws ever closer in the war against evil and sorcery. Will you show courage and fight? Or will you fall?
Now, there are a few series that I would really love to see on the Switch too. I don't really care too much about hardware, as long as it can run some of the games that I like.
Yeah,
You know,
for
like
sure.
things like Starfield that I've been loving over on other platforms. If they can just get it to that level, I'll be happy, you know. But in memory, in honour of that, I'm going to go with The Outer Worlds as my last game. Now, on Switch, we all know the performance wasn't as good as it could be, and mainly that was down to visuals and stuff, but I think it's still more than playable. I mean, I've played the whole thing through on Switch. I've done all of the expansions. We've got reviews of all of that on the channel, and it's the classic case of, if that's your first experience of it, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to enjoy it. It's got very much Fallout feel to it. It is Obsidian, isn't it? Yeah, it's Obsidian who did this one, who obviously worked on the legendary New Vegas on other platforms, and again, I'd love to see that. There's a physical of this as well that you can usually find quite cheap. I'm hoping it's on the cart. But yeah, I would say if you're after those open world RPGs in the vein of something like Starfield, then the closest you're going to get on Switch is The Outer Worlds, easily. So that sale goes on until November the 13th, and it's 34% off of an already reduced price. So it takes it down to about 16 quid.
We're in business. You ought to see a doctor. You got a condition or something.
Lovely, yeah, so not quite 50% that last one, but well worth mentioning nonetheless at that cheap price. Do you know what I mean? It's almost an exception to the rule. And that's our 10 games, so hopefully you'll find something there to pick up and enjoy. If you've picked something up on sale that was well worth what you paid for it, please do let us know, or just not just us, let everyone know about it. It's always nice to find a cheap game, isn't it?
Sing it from the rooftops.
Well, yeah, why not? Do that. Be careful though, health and safety.
Lovely job. Thanks so much to everyone that enjoys the content. We said this week about another subscriber has sent us a game to literally give away at Christmas. It's amazing,
It's
really,
lovely.
isn't it?
Really nice. Thank you very much for that. As Mark said at the beginning, if you are looking for eShop credit to pick any of these games up, please do use our website, switchup.gg. You can get your eShop cards off of there. You get yourself 5% of the purchase price back in cash back, and you can get another 5% off straight away if you use the code SwitchUp. And there's a link down there to Play Asia if you're looking to import any games. Again, use the link, use the code stated, and you get yourself 5% off of your order from there. A quick thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.